Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it's tin helmets on. It's Premier League. It's week 17. Now, I've always said that when it starts getting cold, you have to go unders because players don't perform to the 100% of their ability. So what do? I don't go near the unders, and 90% of the games so far this week have gone under. I'm going to have Martin and Matt with me in a second. But first of all, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. Ring the bell means that we'll notify you. And we've obviously, over this festive period, we've had to change schedules. We will be back to normal very, very soon. If it is your first time and you are just subscribing, then get yourself in the chat. They're a friendly bunch in there. They'll look after you. There'll be certain things you'll hear, like the Alex Classic. You'll see BTTS. That means both teams to score. So also press the link in the description. That will take you over to articles by either Martin or Tan or Alex and everybody else who covers all the SBR sports. Now, Martin, I'm going to come to you first. Arsenal, relegation. They were talking less than 2 games ago. Now, just 6 points behind Chelsea.
Yeah, 6 points behind Chelsea and a number of teams that were on fire not so long ago. I think, Liverpool dropped points as well, didn't they? So I think Arsenal could still go on and win the title. I think it's between Arsenal and Liverpool, but probably Arsenal go on and win it now. Yeah,
I mean, he's going to get manager in a month after when a lot of people were calling for his head. Matt, Wolves, they're an enigma. They don't get beat by more than 1 goal. I think maybe in nine times. I say don't complicate it. What do? I complicate it. I went Man United and over 1.5. 93rd minute winner, Rashford. Although we have got quite a few people in the chat who actually had a 14 parlay just going on at Manchester United. It was a tough watch, tough wait. But in the end, you cashed.
Absolutely. I'm glad that those people didn't complicate it like we did, Flash. Probably should have gone with the under 4.5 there because Wolves games, they're generally low scoring and they just couldn't find the back of the net at United. But I like what you're talking about with unders here. It's getting cold. There's one game here on this card that I really like an over on, but that's about it. So it'll be interesting to see and can't wait to break it down as always.
Yeah, I know which game that is, and I'm sitting on the fence in that game. Well, let's crack straight on. If you've got any leans, you've got any bankers, then let us know in the chat because we've got Matthew, Mashari, Jeremiah, Bobby. You're always there, my lad, because you know you don't bite the hand that feeds you. I'm going to start with you then, Martin. Everton plus 100, draw plus 265. West Ham plus 300. West Ham played yesterday, looked completely toothless, but what they did do is they looked solid and they came for a point and they went home with a point.
Yeah, they've been really solid under David Moyes so far this season. I think he's done a terrific job. I've been betting on them week in, week out. I had them double chance yesterday, and I was fortunate, I think, that Danny Ings goal was ruled out and my double chance came in. But I'm not betting them on them this time around, actually. I think after the game, David Moyes was interviewed and looked like he was getting his excuses in early. He said, Everton have had an extra week to rest because the Man City game was called off due to COVID. It's obviously a big one for him, returning to Goodison Park, where he managed for several years and was very successful there. He's going to really be keen to get a result, but I think they're going to struggle against a fresher Everton side who are playing at home and who have a really, really good record against West Ham in recent years. So I think there's a lot of value on the home win. It's actually drifting out with a few sports books, so you can get better than plus 100, and that looks really appealing to me. So I'm going for the Everton win.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I've gone Everton win as well. Not complicating it. Not interested in this team to win and over and unders because in the Premier League, it's hard enough just to get the right side, Matt.
Definitely is. And this is one of those games like Martin touched on. I mean, it's a rest. It's one of those differences in rest here. And, I expect Moyes to set up defensively here because of that. And I think that, the under 2.5, like we talk about with weather and whatnot, is a decent look here. I think it'll be tight, and I think it stays probably under the number, but it's a pass for me in full.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off of Everton to win and under 4.5 if you want to just get that extra little smidgen of value. But why would you when the home side are plus 100? And Martin makes a great point. It's so important to have them extra days rest at this time of the year. I mean, I looked at West Ham when they played Brighton the other day. They huffed and they puffed. They went down to the South Coast last night. Yeah, they set up but they didn't really ever look like scoring. So they go to Everton, 3 games in like 6 days, whereas Everton, it'd be their first game in 7. So for me, Everton win at plus 100. Next game, Matt. Man United minus 125, draw plus 385, and Villa at plus 350. Villa, they're a little bit like they're taking their leaf out of Leeds' book. They're just having a go. They're confident. And I tell you what, they are looking strong. Man United, well, they should be scoring goals every single time they step onto the pitch because of the forward-thinking boys they've got.
Definitely. This is a really, really fantastic match from a neutral perspective. It's one of those that could really go either way, and that's why I've left it. But I think that there's a lot of things to look at here. I mean, United are rolling right now. As we know, they're up to second place. Fantastic 93rd minute winner. Rashford grabs the winner yesterday. And, it's one of those where Villa hung tough against Chelsea, but Chelsea looked like they could have scored at any point in that second half. And so it's kind of one of those, you got to weigh it up. Do you think maybe Villa +1 on the handicap? I don't see them getting beat by a margin here. I think this is a 1-goal game. Maybe both teams to score here as well looks pretty good, but I've just left it. It's a tricky one right now.
Okay, Fab, any chance you could put this on freezing for me, the old air conditioning? I feel as if like I'm in the Bahamas on holiday at the moment. And hi, Sammy, how are you, mate? It's good to see you in the chat. I'm looking at this game, Martin, and I'm going, Man United and Villa. I watched Villa the other day against Chelsea. And if Chelsea, I'm so frustrated. I'm going to probably have to wait. I'll speak about Chelsea when we come to that game later against Man City. But on paper, you think Man United would be too strong for Villa?
Yeah, I tell you what, I wish I was on holiday in the Bahamas, Flash. It's bloody freezing in the good old United Kingdom right now. We've been talking about unders, but this is one game that I feel could go over 2.5 goals due to the attacking quality on show, and neither team's got a particularly solid defence. I think over 2.5 goals has come in at about of 2/3 of Man United's games and 2/3 of Aston Villa's games. Catch is that Aston Villa keep more clean sheets than any other team in the league, but that seems to go out the window when you're playing against Man United due to the wealth of attacking firepower they've got. I think Man United very, very rarely fail to score in a game, and I think they've got enough options up front to rotate the squad, shuffle the pack, and Martial was on the bench in the last game. He can start in this one. I think they'll cause all sorts of problems for Aston Villa's defence, but I also think that Aston Villa can hurt Man United. They're playing with the handbrake off at the moment. There's competition for places, which is really healthy. El Ghazi's banging in plenty of goals. Ross Barkley's still trying to get back into the team. We all know what Jack Grealish can do. Ollie Watkins is overdue a goal as well. So I think both teams can score in this one, and I think it can go over 2.5 goals, which is why I'm going for the old Alex Classic.
Okay, Alex Classic. And if you haven't heard the Alex Classics before, it's both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in the game. And by the way, how good does Bernard Traore look, by the way? He is a proper athlete. He's so comfortable on the ball. And the recruitment side of things at Villa have pulled up another absolute gem. I've got to leave it alone. I've got to leave it alone. Next game. Put your fingers anywhere you like, and you can come up with 3 different answers for this one. It's Spurs minus 115, draw plus 285, Leeds at plus 340. Martin, do we see Mourinho say, right, Leeds, you want to play a certain way? I'll show you what a coach I am, and I'll stifle you.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that Mourinho could do a number on Bielsa here. They're never going to change the way they play, Leeds, and it leads to them thrashing some teams, as we saw last night and against Newcastle, but also getting hammered by great counter-attacking sides like Tottenham. Like Man United. Spurs probably don't have quite as much pace on the break as Man United, but, Son can get on his bike, and I think they can really hurt Leeds with some good counter-punching football. The only reason I'm probably going to pass on it for now is I want to see what happens in the Spurs-Fulham game tonight. And also, I'm a bit concerned, again, we're talking about a rest period. Leeds have had an extra time to rest than Tottenham, and that can really prove crucial at this time of season. So I think that could negate some of my reasons for wanting to bet on Tottenham in this one. Very difficult to predict how the goals market's going to go as well, because Mourinho could shut up shop, or he could play them at their own game. I'm definitely leaning towards Spurs, but I'd rather wait and see what happens tonight and see the starting lineup that Tottenham put out for this game.
I mean, you can't really go against Leeds though, because they'll take it to anyone. They play with no fear. Obviously, they're going to, like, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by it. But maybe Leeds double chance. I'm actually going to sit on the fence, and I've actually pressed the button on this, and I've gone for the draw, thinking that Spurs may be a little bit tired. I can't have them two boys in the midfield. They're sleeping policemen. But there again, I could be looking with egg on my face next week, Matt, when they win 4.
I think that you touched on it correctly, Flash, and just Leeds have no fear whatsoever. And they're going to come at Spurs with everything. And just think about some of the teams that Spurs have allowed a goal to. I mean, the likes of Wolves and Crystal Palace. And I know that Mourinho will set up here tactically astute. I know that. And Leeds are susceptible to being counterattacked. And Spurs have that. You know, we'll see what kind of lineup Spurs put out today, because then, you know, if they play Son and they play Kane, maybe one of them's going to be rested for the next game. So it's really weird to predict things a few days ahead right now in this moment in the Christmas holiday fixtures, you know, but for me here, this sets up like United Leeds. It really does. I think that Spurs will have, you know, and cause problems on the break. And I see both teams scoring, and this one going over 2.5 goals. It's banker material for me if I get the right lineups here. I think that this is right where you want it to be. I still don't believe in Tottenham's defense. I know Mourinho has done a good job to organize this defense, but I still am not a real big fan of the defenders he has. So I think that Leeds will play with no fear, and I believe that Spurs will catch them on the counterattack one. So there's both teams to score, and I cannot pick a winner in this one. So whoever gets 2 goals should find and grab all 3 points here.
So would you go Alex Classic, or would you just go over 2.5 goals in the game?
Alex Classic, because the over 2.5 goals is like minus 200.
Wow, that's strange, isn't it? When you think that Mourinho could do a number and just try and win 1-0, especially, and this is a fear I have. There's a game that I'm going to have to watch him play, because if Spurs go 1-0 up, they sit back, they try and lock the door, and Leeds will overcommit. And then the old sucker punch comes in, and then there could be 2, 3, 4 goals in the game. I'm going for the draw. I think it could well be a 1-1, 2-2. Could be a great game to watch. Now we're going to go to Selhurst Park, because Crystal Palace, this is either a trap or a gift, and it's New Year's Day fixtures, and it's Crystal Palace plus 110, Matt, draw plus 265, and Sheffield United at plus 280. Why Sheffield United at such a small price at plus 280 when they fail to win? But there again, they hardly ever get beat by more than 1.
This is such a tough one. I mean, I think that you almost have to play Palace here as a bettor. I mean, you just got to keep riding these kind of streaks out. And Sheffield, they've just been so poor, as we know. But I still think that some of their performances are better than the end result, really. So that's my issue with them. They were all over Burnley in the second half. I thought that they could have grabbed an equalizer, but they just have no punch in the box, really. There's just no one to finish off anything. It's a really tricky one, but I just don't like Palace that much either. It's one of those. This is probably like a 1-1. I think that draw, I would go with the biggest price here. I think that Sheffield can actually get something from this game, but it's not going to have any of my money on this game at all.
Martin Clay says it's a gift. Plus 110 Palace.
I mean, if you didn't ever watch the Premier League and you just saw the state of the table and you saw the results that Sheffield United have been having, you'd bet against them week in, week out. And you would have made good money, to be fair, so far. But when you actually watch them play, they're always in the game. They're always fighting to the very last minute. They only ever seem to lose by 1 goal. But yet they always contrive to lose, no matter what they try. It's funny that they're called the Blades, because they're totally blunted. They got nothing in attack. And maybe if they go and sign a really good striker in the January transfer window, they might be able to stage a great escape. But as things stand, when you look at the 2 lineups, Crystal Palace have got so much more firepower with Zaha, even with Benteke, who's started to find his shooting boots in recent weeks. So at those odds, I can't really put anyone off betting on Crystal Palace. I just keep worrying that Sheffield United are going to remember how to play at some point, and they're going to at least draw with a team or win. So I'm always a bit wary of betting against them. But yeah, form book would suggest home win.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's what makes me think it could well be a trap, because Sheffield United have got to win sometime. They're playing okay. They just cannot finish off the good work in the box. Next game here, again, it's one of those that's going to be very, very tough, and the unders is definitely in play. It's Brighton at plus 150, Martin. Draw plus 225, and Wolves at plus 200.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's going to be the most entertaining of games. What I think is probably good from a Brighton perspective is the amount of players they rested against Arsenal. As soon as you saw the starting lineup, it just seemed like Arsenal were going to win that game. He rested all of their key players, apart from Bizuma, who dominated the midfield. They didn't have any of their attackers out. So they should have a pretty strong starting 11 for this game against Wolves. Maybe Graham Potter identified it as a match that they stood a greater chance of winning. He's really keen to improve their home form, which has been absolutely abysmal throughout 2020. I just don't really know what I'm going to get from Wolves either. They were pretty decent against Man United, but they lack that. They're just like Sheffield United now. They lack a cutting edge up front ever since Jimenez was out injured. They're going to have to go and buy a striker in January for me. Otherwise, they're going to be finishing bottom half of the table. I'd be looking at unders in this game. Always looking at unders at the moment when Wolves play. Maybe the draw at 225 appeals, but yeah, I think best off to pass this one.
Matt, Diego Costa to Wolves. What do you reckon?
That's not a bad. That's a good one to spice up the rumor mill there, Flash. I think that's a solid
Well, I'm
one.
just thinking of like who the agent is who brings in all the Wolves players. You have a little look; they're all Portuguese or Spanish. I think he'd be a great fit. The problem is that when Raul Jimenez comes back, you have two players that are very, very alike. The Wolves, is this another draw half-time with Wolves?
This is where I'm going here. To talk about just the full game, though, I think that I would be on Brighton. I think that something tells me that the price is right. I think that the odds makers have made this correct and giving Brighton the slight favorite here. I think that Martin made a great point that Graham Potter has probably circled this game as the better opportunity for them. And when they get all of those guys back in there, it's one of those. It's going to be so tough. It's going to be really cagey and close throughout. So it's not one of those that I really want to bet on, but I'm more than happy to go with halftime draw here at plus 100. I see this one just as a classic Wolves halftime. Both teams should probably set up in very similar formations and cancel one another out. So that's where I've gone. It's even money. I believe that 5 of the last 10 Wolves matches have come in with a halftime draw. So it's basically a flip of the coin here. But I believe that it should land on a halftime draw between these two.
Yeah, Jack Simpson says unders or late second half goals. That's just right across the board. Never Wolves are involved. Now the next game, if yesterday hadn't happened with West Brom and Leeds, I was going to take West Brom at plus 480 or double chance. West Brom plus 480, Martin. I'm coming to you obviously because you're the Arsenal fan. Draw plus 300, and Arsenal back to their old miserly price of minus 140. Do we forgive Arsenal just because they've won 2 games in a week?
I think I'm inclined to forgive Arsenal. Yeah, I forgave them, and I got a great set of odds on them to beat Brighton, and lo and behold, they pulled it off. They were shocking in the first half. It was a really dreary performance, but Mikel Arteta did put a rocket up in the second half, and they came out with real intent. Saka, Martinelli, and Smith Rowe are just a breath of fresh air, bursting forward with pace and dynamism. If only Aubameyang was a bit more confident in front of goal, could have ended up winning 3 or 4-0. Brighton obviously put out a bad starting 11, so it was always looking like an Arsenal win. But they got the job done. 2 wins on the bounce now, building up a bit of momentum. Bigger squad than West Brom. I just think West Brom have just got such a poor starting 11. When you looked at that team, it's not surprising that they lost 5-0 to Leeds. I think there was a bit of false optimism after that draw with Liverpool. They played really well in that game. But yeah, they were taken apart by Leeds. Going to be low on confidence now. And I think, it's going to be a much more dreary game than that Leeds match. I think it's going to be another tight, low-scoring one. But Arsenal should have about enough invention and guile to open up this West Brom defence a couple of times and edge a narrow victory for me. So, yeah, it has to be Arsenal to win and under 4.5 goals for a bit more value.
Yeah, Mills is saying he's been on Arsenal last 2 games and he's staying on the train. Not so sure, Matt. I'm not so sure. You know what the Premier League's like? As soon as you think you've got a handle on a team, it come and bites you on the backside.
Totally. I mean, I think that when West Brom got the 1-1 draw against Liverpool, that is what kept all of us off of, going for Leeds, really. And Leeds are one of those teams that they can be, like we talked about against Spurs this fixture, they're susceptible to the counterattack. Well, West Brom don't really have that. They just don't. I think that Martin has this one spot on. It's copy and paste for me here. It's Arsenal. It's under 4.5 goals. Don't see 5 goals in Mikel Arteta matches. West Brom are poor. They're going down, and I believe that Arsenal, with a little bit of momentum, a little bit of extra confidence. The one concern that I do have, though, is I wonder if Saka will feature, because he's their best player. He's Arsenal's best player for me, really. He creates. He does the creating for the bigger players, and so it'll be interesting to see if he's there. But either way, they should be able to get the job done. It'll probably be by 1 goal, though. I can see this it'll be pretty close. So,
Claudio, you're not wrong. It has been very, very tough to nigh on impossible so far in this Premier League. But remember, we're here till May, so we'll get a handle on it. Don't you worry. We'll have to just be a little bit selective in the way that we find the value. Let's go with Burnley at home, Matt, plus 150. Draw plus 225. Fulham plus 210. Burnley starting to turn the corner, not letting goals in, and just getting that 1 goal ahead. Yeah. No, the PC didn't crash in the studio.
What do you say? PC crashed?
No. So we got Burnley -150, draw +225, and Fulham at +210. Matt, Burnley been solid, getting themselves in front. Very, very, very tough to beat. Fulham want to play around. They look athletic. 150 looks like a good price on Burnley.
It sure does. I would be on Burnley here. Fulham have the match against Tottenham today, so that's why I've left this one alone. But I think it's a very attractive price on Burnley. I mean, they just have so much cohesion. I love Dyche as the manager there, and when
injury, I wonder if we should just put them at the heart of the England defence for Euro 2021 next summer instead of messing around with Maguire and Stones or whoever. But yeah, I think they'll make life difficult for Fulham in this game. I'm really inclined to back Burnley at +150. I'd rather go draw no bet though, because Fulham have just emerged as the draw kings of the Premier League in recent weeks. They've been drawing with everyone. Doesn't matter.
They went to Leicester and taught them a lesson.
Yeah, and they drew with Liverpool as well. They're playing well at the moment. So
and the mighty Saints.
And the mighty Saints. So they're a tough nut to crack, as we say, this Fulham team. Tough nut to crack. I don't think they can win, though, not at Turf Moor, not with the momentum that Burnley are building up right now and the defensive strength that they've got. So, yeah, I'd be happy to put Burnley draw no bet in a parlay, but not really sure there's the value there for a straight bet. So maybe Burnley in the draw double chance combined with under 3.5 goals or something like that, if there's any value. I think it's going to be a low-scoring one, either Burnley to win or a draw.
Okay, this next game, is it an absolute classic setup for we'll suck you in, we'll hit you on the break, Jamie Vardy, Harvey Barnes, Maddison, Newcastle at +430, Martin, draw +305, and Leicester at a stingy -140. But I can see Leicester team total over 1.5.
You would really expect Leicester to go and win this one after the players they rested last time out against Crystal Palace. They looked a lot more dangerous when Vardy came off the bench, got the equaliser through Harvey Barnes. They were unlucky not to win it as well when Iheanacho missed the penalty. With players coming back into the side against a really poor, really struggling Newcastle outfit, you would really expect Leicester to go and win this one. We're going unders because, like you said, it's cold, everyone's tired, players aren't performing to the peak of their ability. So, yeah, Leicester to win an under 4.5 goals looks like a good one to me. But I would caveat it by saying, wait to see the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you could even go, as I say, Leicester team total. I think they scored twice. But when Martin says it's cold, it's in Newcastle. It's Baltic. It's like, I don't know, maybe Buffalo in early December if you're coming from the States. Matt, I think Leicester do win this game, but can I trust them enough? Because I don't know what I'm going to get from Newcastle.
It's one of those. I mean, Newcastle do play today. Let's see how they do against Liverpool. But I think that Leicester and the Foxes should be too strong for them. I really do. With just the injuries of, you can see what, and we just talk about it with Tarkowski and me. That's what Lascelles is to Newcastle. And when he's been out injured, their defense looks just unorganized, and it looks like it can be just cut up at any moment. And Leicester, they deserved better against Palace. That was one of those where us as trying to predict things beforehand, we could never predict and see what Brendan Rodgers was going to do with that type of rotation. So the big boys will be back and fresh. Maddison, Vardy, like Martin touched on as well. So I think that Leicester get the job done in these cold conditions. Under 4.5 was the way to go. So, yeah, that would be around even money. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I actually went with Palace Leicester draw. I mean, I bet it after about half an hour at like +175. And then when they went 1-1, I cashed out and for maybe +105 winnings. I cannot tell you how up and down my week has been. My 3 or 4 major bets all got beat. You know what my bank balance looks like? I lost $7. $7. It's unbelievable. Obviously, Levante and Batiste was an absolute beautiful game for the Flashman. Now, Chelsea +200 square pegs in round holes, draw +250, Matt. And Man City at a gigantic +150. Now, Man City, we've got to find out, obviously, because they've had coronavirus problems. But if they're back, They're rested against a Chelsea side who look more than disjointed. I go across that Chelsea back four. Ben Chilwell, England left back, absolute class, no problem at all. Then I go with Rudiger, no. Christensen, no. Aspilicueta, no. Kante being the passer of a ball, no. I've got Pulisic, who's unbelievable pace and energy, but no brain. I've got Mason Mount running around moaning like he thinks he's Maradona. I've got Hudson-Odoi, who won't move. If he'd have just moved to the far post, he would have scored himself 2 tap-ins, but they don't see it. And then we go with Havertz, gets fined if he goes anywhere near the box. Werner, he wants to do all his work outside the box. It's just, Matt, I mean, obviously, I'm with Man City all the way.
Same. This is Man City all the way for me. I just don't like the way that Chelsea are playing. You touched on it in every single facet, really. It's one of those where I think that City still have so much more cohesion. They have a better defense. This is the best defense in the league. And I was a bit sad to see that Everton City match canceled because that was really banker material for me. I thought that City were going to run riot on the Blues. And it's a different Blues here, but I still think, especially if this match does get played, I mean, think about the extra rest that City will have. I think it's City all the way here. I did complicate it a bit. I just to be safe, but I wouldn't put anyone off of plus 150. I went draw no bet, minus 120 on Man City. I think that they should get the job done here, and I definitely don't see them getting beat.
No, I definitely don't see them getting beat, and I quite like that draw no bet at minus 120, but only maybe to save my stake. I mean, Man City plus 150, Martin. Could we even go like with Man City -1 or Man City at under 4.5?
Well, I think it all depends on who has COVID in the Man City squad. I know Kyle Walker and Gabriel Jesus have already pulled out with COVID, and they said there's been an outbreak in the squad, but they haven't released details of which players have it. So, you know, if it's Ederson, De Bruyne, Aguero,
well, they won't play, will they?
Yeah, then, you know, well, and I do think there's a really good chance that this game will be called off. I think they're going to have lots of tests over the next few days, rounds and rounds of testing for it to hopefully go ahead. If it's a relatively strong Man City team, I see them going on and winning this game against Chelsea, who are struggling for all the reasons that you just said. And also, these teams, they don't draw. They haven't drawn since 2015. Man City have won most of those games. Chelsea have won a few of them, but yeah, there always seems to be a winner in these matches. And yeah, you would think that Man City have got the bit between their teeth now. They're building up momentum. They've had some really good results. They're looking a lot more solid at the back. And Chelsea have just been a bit of a shambles in the last few weeks, which is strange to see after they were looking great not so long ago. I think Frank Lampard's under real pressure there. And if they lose again, Arsenal are breathing down their necks soon. So, yeah, let's see a Man City win. I'm definitely going to go for Man City to win if it goes ahead and not too many of their best players are out with COVID.
Yeah, the big thing is with Chelsea, they're above average. They are more than above average. And as we said, they were like 4-1 favourites for the Premier League maybe 6-7 weeks ago. And then they're falling in a hole. I don't think it's got anything to do with Frank. I think it's the players starting to believe their own hype. You know, sometimes you get players that they're brilliant. They get like, remember the Barclays Player of the Month or the Premier League Player of the Month or the Manager of the Month, and they go on a losing streak. That's what I think's happened to Chelsea. I think they've started to read their own press and they start believing that they're better than they are. And Mason Mount, who I've been a big fan of, even like when he was a young boy, then he went on loan to Derby. I spoke to Gareth Southgate and said about how well he was doing when he was playing in the Championship. He's a proper little player. But when you start seeing these young boys start moaning at refs, start moaning about everything's not going right, you're taking your concentration levels to a depth that you can't come back from. So anybody else but Man City, I would trust Chelsea to get it right, but not this week. Now, what a game this is on Monday night, live on the telly, Martin. Southampton, plus 400. The Mighty Saints, draw plus 350. And Liverpool at minus 155. I've got it. Liverpool go there, 3-0, 3-1. I'm not complicating it. Liverpool, minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap. A massive 165.
Live on the telly, Flash. I would say
on the telly.
Every game is live on the telly right now because, they're not playing too many matches at the same time. Amazon Prime has been broadcasting everything this week. But, yeah, I take your point that it's a big evening game. I think Liverpool really should go there and win it. They have... Last time, I said it on the last show, last time they dropped points against Fulham, they went and beat Spurs and then absolutely thumped Crystal Palace. And I think we're going to see another reaction from this Liverpool team. I'm thinking, they should go and beat Newcastle quite comfortably tonight. And then I think they can go down to the South Coast and beat Southampton as well. We know the issues they've got with injury problems right now, but I still think they've got, enough quality going forward to cause Southampton all sorts of problems. And they've got a few decent young players that they can bring in to freshen things up as well. I don't think they're going to blow Southampton away because Southampton are quite a solid team. But, yeah, again, same bet for me, Liverpool and unders.
Okay, Dennis says the Mighty Saints without Danny Ings just don't look the same. Danny played yesterday. He started. The big thing for me is Mighty Saints, duck egg, naught, no goals against Man City, against Fulham, against West Ham. Just running out of steam in that final third for me. And you play against Liverpool. Listen, worst case scenario, I see Liverpool winning 2-0. So for me, minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap. Plus 165, Matt.
I like it. Flash. I do think that Liverpool run riot here on the Saints. I think that this is chalked up at a 2-0, maybe a 3-0. That's where I see this game as.
I thought we'd decided there's no this O business and zeros and ties and
sorry,
nil.
Yeah. 2-0, 3-0. Somewhere in there, though, I believe that Liverpool should be too strong for the Mighty Saints. It's generally a fun fixture, though, and it's just one of those where, there's not much rest for either teams. We've talked about the weather. I think that Liverpool win here, but I do think this match is cagey, and Southampton matches, the unders have been coming in thick and fast. I'm on the under 3 goals here at minus 110. I just see this one as a 2-0, 2-0.
Yeah, it's always risky with Liverpool. Short memories that we've got. They just went to Palace and won 7. Okay, I need to...
What about Mane to score at any time? I was just thinking of all the former Southampton players that Liverpool normally have. Not so many of them at the moment with Van Dijk injured, but Mane will relish a trip back down to the South Coast. That could be a little prop bet.
He looks like scoring in every game, though, doesn't he?
He's always the one that I would choose if I had to pick a Liverpool player. It would always be Mane. He's up for it right now too. He's had a couple goals in his last few games, so yeah, I do like that.
Okay. Joseph says a little greedy, a reverse Alex classic under 2.5, and Liverpool to win and under 2.5 is Liverpool win to 0. Okay. Leave it at that. Okay, I want 2-team parlay when we come back from picking having a look at the picks. Fab, stick them picks up, please. Let's see what we've got. We've got Martin's picks. Everton at plus 102. You have to just always stick that little 2 on the end there. Man United, Alex Classic at minus 120. Arsenal to win and under 4.5 at minus 110. Leicester to win and under 4.5 at minus 105. The old Martin Classic's out in force this week. Liverpool to win and under 4.5 at plus 110. Good odds then. Okay, Matt's picks. And he's got his 3 stars out. Spurs, Alex Classic, minus 135. Wolves, first half draw, plus 100. Southampton, under 3.5 goals in the game at minus 110. Leicester, not complicating it, minus 140. And Man City, draw no bet at minus 125. That is a lineup check, and that may not even go ahead because of the COVID issues. But I'm in the same boat. I've got Man City, banker, plus 150. Spurs, draw at plus 285. Everton, not complicating it at plus 100, although Martin says that it is getting closer to like the 105, the plus 110. And Liverpool, minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap, that plus 165. 2-team parlay, please, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you, Martin. Who you got for me? Tough week.
I've got to go for Arsenal. They've won their last 2 games. They're coming up against the team that just lost 5-0. I think they'll go and beat West Brom.
Okay, Arsenal minus 140. Matt?
Let's go with Leicester on the road to Newcastle.
So we're going to go with two -140s. We're going with Arsenal -140, Leicester -140. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Thanks for the 55 thumbs up. If you can press your thumbs up on the way up, but also if you like this video and you've not subscribed, then please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. You ring the bell, it means we'll notify you and you'll never miss any content again. And we will be getting back to some sort of regularity and schedule will be sorted. Also, you press the link in the description. That'll take you over to the articles wrote by either Martin, Chan or Alex. And also, there's parlays over there. A little bit more meat on the bone. I love that one. A little bit more meat on the bone for individual bets. I need the parlay to come in this week. I'm going to start banging up the records again, hopefully next week when we haven't got to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning just to do these shows. Have a great weekend. Happy New Year, everyone. Remember, this is the Boxing Day fixtures, but your soccer shows are not done there. We have La Liga coming up, 11:30 Eastern time. Roman will be joining us. We did all right yesterday. We've got some good fixtures coming up, so make sure you join us. Martin, Matt, Happy New Year. But Martin, I'll see you in a couple of hours.
See you soon. Thanks, guys.
Happy New Year, Flash.
You take care.